Okay, so I'll begin my presentation. Thanks for introducing me, Saadet Hocam. As you see here, my topic is AI and lesson planning, its use in lesson planning. But don't worry, I won't talk about theoretical things. Instead, I'll offer a practical outlook on this topic. So it will be probably enjoyable from this respect. So I'd like to begin with this image. So could you please take a look at this image for a couple of seconds and think about the environment. Okay, I think you have examined the image. So the year is 2035. As an English teacher, you walk into your classroom and then find your AI co-teacher welcoming you and saying, "Hello, Mr. or maybe Mrs. I have done some learning analytics, and then I analyzed your students' progress. Here's a lesson plan for the past tense. Shall we begin?" So what do you think? Does this somehow sound like from a science fiction movie? Or does this sound futuristic, highly futuristic? Well, it is not actually. We will probably be in such a classroom soon. This will be possible with AI, developments in AI. And today we will be unlocking the potentials of AI for lesson planning. We will be deep diving into this topic. But before that, I want you to come to my warm-up activity here. Could you please scan this code to go to my Padlet and open Padlet 2, evaluating, sorry, is it evaluating a sample lesson AI plan? Label scan the code. Now I should go there as well. Yeah, okay. So I have a question for you, friends. Before we begin to show examples of integration of AI into lesson planning, I want you to take a look at this question. What legitimate reasons do you have for using AI in your classroom, particularly for lesson planning? Okay, share your opinion, please. 3 legitimate reasons. We are looking for it. People keep coming. When everyone is here, we can directly begin posting. And you will just hit this button to post your opinion. Okay, I'm waiting for your responses. You can take 2 minutes to think about those legitimate reasons, and then you can write them down and post it here. You can work in pairs as well. If you don't have enough funds or if you have a problem with your chart, we have something like 13 people over here. Oh, welcome, the first response. Okay, we will take a look at them. I'm not going to read it now, but in the meantime, you can check new posts. Okay. I'm expecting more answers. Okay, one last minute to get the answers, then we will show them one by one. By the way, I like the names. Creative names. Are they from an AI? Okay, I think enough. If you can submit from now on, you can do that, please, but I'll show them as a slideshow. Let's see the responses. Okay, the first one. Okay, do we have one here? Students with instant access to a wide variety of educational resources. So what is the difference? hang on a second. What is the difference between Google or AI? I mean, between Google and AI, let's say. There must be a difference. It can also give you access to a number of different sources, okay? Coming back to this one, it goes on. Hocam, I would like to just click not autoplay. Okay, so this is a good aspect of it. To get ideas in preparing suitable materials for students' level. We call this personalization, customization, or maybe individualization, okay? Or maybe localization of materials according to students' level and contextual factors. Okay, good. And then, yeah, we have examined this. Firstly, it's time saving, so I can save time. Yes, teachers are busy people. And AI never tells you, well, I can't do it, I'm busy, I'm tired. They never say this, right? AI tools. Also, if I'm out of ideas, it helps me build an idea. About lesson flow and act. Can you see me, Hocam, and hear me again? I think I have lost connection.
Yes, Hocam. Your internet is breaking.
Okay, now you can hear me. Okay, let's go on. So there are different things. Okay, faster, it says, let's take a look at keywords. Okay, and fully, it says, a teacher can overlook some aspects. Well, I might not agree with this maybe. We will discuss later. It's easier to create more effective activities. Okay, let's take a look at them. Less time consuming, maybe helps you save time. To get inspiration, yeah, I like this. AI is someone like a colleague or a friend by your side. You can just negotiate things, get ideas, and be inspired from each other. And classes levels, maybe you do some maybe analysis, right? Learning analytics, or maybe formative assessment. That's right. Okay, and then this one. Learning styles, individualization again. Okay. Quickly, faster. Okay, that's another keyword. Inspiration, inspiration. Entertaining. Okay. Alternative to traditional planning. Okay. More different. You mean creative, I suppose. Logical help. Okay. Time saving, and illustrations. Convenient. It's always available. Okay, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Okay. Information in seconds, very quick responses. Variation, variety. Okay. It gives you ideas, saves time, and similar things are coming. So maybe we can go on with the next slide because things keep repeating each other. So just forgive me for not going over all other responses. Okay, so let's move on. I like the responses. They just give us a framework on how to proceed, right? I was kind of expecting such answers actually. And you are right, absolutely right. Now let's come back to our presentation. So when I say AI and AI tools, the first thing that comes to my mind for effective material design lesson planning, getting effective answers for anything, prompting comes first. Prompting is the key aspect of using chatbots, particularly chatbots, in an effective way. Without proper prompting, you can't get the results, you can't get the high quality output that you are desiring. Well, we have the term prompt engineering. I'm sure you have heard of this term. It's a kind of a specialized area, actually. Because of this, we call it engineering. And we will be taking a look at the importance of prompting and features of good prompts. When you write a prompt, the first thing should be to give information about your case. If it is a class or a group of students, you should clearly describe them. You should, for example, give information about their levels, age maybe, gender, or any other relevant information. And of course, you should give the purpose of this inquiry in that AI tool. And you should be specific. This is very important. If you can clearly set the ground, clearly explain what you want from students, it means you'll get the high quality results that you desire. If just simply you write something over there and write it just only once and want to get the best results, I'm sorry. You should struggle by iteratively writing comments. Iterative comment writing or prompt writing is a part of this process, good prompt writing process. Iterative, we call it iterative because you don't repeat the same question. You have iterations. In each iteration, you improve the quality of your prompt and work your way up to the best prompt that you can ever write. This is a key aspect of prompt writing. The language that you use in prompting should be clear. What does this mean? You should use, for example, shorter sentences. Shorter sentences, vocabulary that shouldn't be ambiguous, or structures that shouldn't be ambiguous. And structure your prompt. That's another important aspect of this prompt writing process. What does that mean? Just form sections. For example, in the first part, you set the scene. And then in the second part, you provide some details. Deep dive into what you want. Give your purpose clearly. And finally, add some reminders, for example. Or give some additional instructions like do this, but don't do this, that. Be careful about this, but you shouldn't do this, and so on. Okay, that's it. Now, in language teaching, English language teaching, lesson plan takes up a very key role. And in this key role, teacher is the agent of this lesson planning process. And we have phases, of course. And what phases do we have? Normally, if you are going to teach a group of students, then you first of all try to get familiar with them. First of all, you learn what they know. You want to know what they know, because every knowledge, every piece of knowledge is built upon previous knowledge. So you have to know what they know and add to their knowledge with your new lesson plan. And after that, you should identify your objectives. Objectives are just like signposts while you are traveling on a busy highway. Without signposts, you won't be able to make it to your destination. And then you should, of course, identify the tasks and prepare the materials. And finally, you should assess your students, whether they have actually acquired the necessary skills or the intended skills that were a part of that class. When I was working in high school as a teacher, as an English teacher, I had a müdür, a principal. He said, he used to say in meetings, Hocam, don't ask a question, don't ask the question, let's say, to students, well, have you understood the lesson? Or do you know now what I want to teach you? Don't ask questions like this. Instead, give them a test. That test will obviously tell you whether they have grasped the core content of the course or not, maybe. So these phases are important, and in each phase of the lesson, AI tools can help us a lot, friends. And I'll show you how. Well, when we come to objectives, you should get a lot of help from AI tools. And usually, SMART objectives are recommended. SMART: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. I think these are all self-defining. Specific, it should be specific. For example, if you say, understand the topic, this is not an objective. I mean, to understand the topic, to understand this word. Instead, in terms of knowledge, for example, this is a list of verbs categorized according to Bloom's taxonomy of cognitive skills. Knowledge, for example. For knowledge, you have these things, okay? You can obviously identify your objectives by using such verbs. And if you use these verbs, objectives will be somehow measurable. If you say, understand the topic, how can you measure it? But if you say, define this word, or give a synonym for this word, or use this word in a sentence, in a context, these are all measurable things and achievable, of course. If something and relevant, time-bound are also self-defining. Well, if you use AI tools for lesson planning, you have a number of options that could be somehow categorized under these general headings. You create a lesson plan from scratch. It's possible. Give the prompt, it will give you a whole lesson plan. Or you can create materials or tasks within a particular lesson plan. This will be a partial help, but it is very helpful. And most of my presentation will get feedback. Just go to a practicum class and you have prepared your lesson plan. You ask ChatGPT, for example, by using a rubric, okay, to give feedback on your work. Then you can get a lot of information on how to improve your lesson plan. This is also possible, and this is a fully recommended way of using AI tools in lesson planning. And also, you can use AI-generated plans to make comparisons between your plan, someone's plan, or anything. These are all possible things that you can use AI, okay, to improve your teaching in the classroom by creating killer lessons. Okay, so this is a lesson plan, sample lesson plan created by it was created by an AI tool. By the way, I use different AI tools like Gemini for DeepSeek, or Claude, or ChatGPT while I was just taking examples. But those examples, which are real life used scenarios, They are all from either ChatGPT or from DeepSeek. This is from DeepSeek. And a very simple prompt was used. Could you please, it's something like, could you please prepare a lesson plan for teaching elementary students for 2 hours? The topic is apologizing in English. That's it. And this detailed plan with the next pages, let me show them, came out. Okay. And I said, there is a break, 5-minute break between the 2 hours or 2:45 minutes. Okay. Most people in the Padlet activities stressed speed and different ideas. These are readily apparent actually in this plan, because I got the result maybe in a minute or so. If as a teacher I prepare this, it will take a lot of time probably. But here the point is AI tools should be a colleague by side. You shouldn't give the intellectual activity to AI tools. Intellectual thinking, intellectual activity, critical thinking, creativity, these will be in danger if you just leave them to AI tools all the time. Just consider AI tools as a colleague with whom you can negotiate things, topics, with whom you can discuss a variety of things in lesson planning or any other aspect of teaching in general. Okay, so I said I used a very simple prompt to get that lesson plan, but a more detailed one will be something like this. And when we take a look at this lesson plan, we see that it has a structure. It does have a structure. Why? You have the introduction to the prompt. I need a lesson plan, give the subject that is English, for example, on, remember the topic, apologizing. This is for elementary level students, or maybe you could just give more information like A2 level, A1 level students learning this and that. Type of school, a secondary school in Turkey. And the lesson time is 80 minutes, something like this. My students have prior knowledge experience, just enter the prior knowledge. For example, they know verb be, how to use verb be, because while apologizing, you will use verb be. I'm sorry, you will say. I'd like to apologize you for doing this. So these structures will be used. And just let AI tool know what these pieces of background information that your students have. In grammar teaching, for example, build your lesson plan upon what students have already mastered. This is not an option, but something essential. And then you will just fill out other parts of the prompt, and then request specific lesson components. Just give more information. For example, if you can copy the related part from a secondary school curriculum related with the function apologizing, okay, just copy the related part and give it as an input document. In that case, you will be able to provide additional information to the AI tool, which in turn will give you better output. This is a part of individualization or customization, whatever you might call it. And required material sources available in your setting. For example, if you have a smartboard, just write it. I have a smartboard. Maybe this AI tool will offer you something that could be an activity that could be carried out on a smartboard or maybe in a laboratory setting or somewhere else. And then, do you want a warm-up activity? Of course we do. Warm-up is important, right? And assessment and so on and so forth. You just provide information. And you might also add this part if there are some particular challenges for students, then you can add that. For example, for Turkish students, if you are teaching, say, the present tense, a particular problem will be the overuse of the third person singular morpheme s. Okay, that will be overused because sometimes students force themselves for not forgetting that morpheme, but at the same time they might somehow use it unnecessarily. That is called overuse in grammar. Okay. So this is a prompt. Your prompt should be detailed. It should be structured. Remember, prompting comes first. If you can write good prompts, then you will be able to get better results, better output. Okay. After giving you the importance of prompting, I'll give you examples. Of course, if time could permit, we could just work on prompts, but that's a different story. We should particularly focus on examples that are real life, that are actually used in the classroom, or that are hypothetical. So people said you can individualize your lesson plans or your materials. That was a very good point. Just you hit the nail on the head. So tailored comprehensible input exercises. In language learning, comprehensible input is very important. You should provide something. It's something like you have a pot or a jug. You have to pour something in order for the liquid to overflow. And input, comprehensible input, is in that case the liquid. You should pour it all the time. It will somehow overflow when you have provided enough of it. So the nature of the subject that you want to teach is important over here. And you should consider your learners' needs. How can you do this? We have a particular type of syllabus in language teaching that is negotiated syllabus, in which students and teachers come together. The teacher maybe administers some tests to understand what is missing, the gap in students' knowledge. You identify their needs. At the same time, a needs analysis can be carried out. Needs analysis will help you on what aspects of your students' knowledge you should focus on. Imagine a person learning English just to enjoy the literature in English. In that case, he might not want to learn speaking, for example. Why teach speaking to such a person? So needs analysis is quite important, and AI tools can also help you. Chatbots and other AI tools can help you to form a needs analysis survey, deliver it to students, and then analyze the results, prepare a report, and use that data to shape your in-class teaching and to shape your lesson planning. Okay, so automated and adaptation. This is one of the best blessings of AI tools, actually. In the past, I remember my MA thesis preparing a syllabus for A2 students, a reading syllabus, and I had great difficulty in finding copyright-free and level-appropriate texts. It was very difficult. It proved difficult for me. But today, you can prepare a parallel text in an instant. create a text on a given topic. This could be possible. Just give your prompt. Write a, say, 500-word text on this topic. It should have these qualities, like this level, this formality level, informal, formal, okay? Things like these. When you specify these, you will get that text. And you can create parallel texts. A particularly important thing for me in the language classroom is providing learners enough input by using similar texts. If you use similar texts, parallel texts, you will probably have will be exposed to all those vocabulary items, and the frequency of the words will increase. You will obviously teach them. You will be able to teach them to your students, and you can adapt texts. If a text is too difficult for your students, you can instantly adapt it based on your needs. You can, for example, create an A2 level reading text out of an authentic reading text or an advanced one. It's very easy. So create a new text form. This is possible. This is from scratch. And it is not that difficult. Just give the details as much as possible. Give as many details as you can. In that case, the AI tool will give you a good text. And then automated generation of parallel text. Now, we have the term narrow reading. Narrow reading means students read similar texts on the same topic. This is, again, intended for increasing their familiarity with the topic, exposing them to similar vocabulary items, increasing the frequency of those vocabulary items, and so on. This is a very good strategy that I sometimes use. And to do this, I wrote this. This is, by the way, for demonstration purposes, not for real life use. My intermediate students have read this text and did some comprehension activities. In the reading text document, I have a one-page document, one-page text, reading text, intermediate text. I'd like them to do some narrow reading. Can you please write two other texts with similar properties like length, difficulty? Okay. Here is a similar one. It is a little bit shorter. If you like, because the text was one page in length, this was a little bit shorter. You can just say extend this text by, say, 20% or 10%. It is possible. As I said, iterative prompting is very important. So if you don't like something, just go on. It would be a mistake, a remiss to stop writing when you get less than perfect results. Instead, just be persistent and try to get what you want. I was asking, it was, I suppose, DeepSeek. It was at the time when it was first introduced. I asked it to give me 50 questions for a story, an original story, actually, a multiple choice question. And it gave me 5 of them and stopped. And I said, could you give the rest of the questions? And it gave another 10, stopped, another 10, stopped, and at last it made this comment: you are too persistent, but I like, it says, I like actually the conversation between me and AI. I actually got all those 50 questions at the end. That was a similar text. As you see, the vocabulary over here is very similar. And in the original text, you might see it, I can share it later, you will obviously see similar words. And this is a great strength. Once I was just preparing vocabulary exercises and reading texts for a research project, I wanted to write texts in which each word, a set of 20 words, I was working on that many vocabulary items, all those words were, let me say, used 4 times. So I had to write paragraphs in which those words appeared four times, and it was a torture for me. But I was able to do that. Now you can easily do this by using AI tools. Just say, use these words 4 times in 20, let's say, paragraphs or essays. It's possible. And adapting texts is another a blessing, because this is something that I like. When you are asking for such a task, the AI tool to do such a task, give vocabulary bands. So we have some tools like LexTutor, I'm sure you are familiar with this, or we have frequency bands. The first band means the first 1,000 words that are most frequently used in English, beginning with the and other words. So probably the most frequent word is the, and you will work your way up to 1,000 words. That is the first band. Say, for example, adapt the text to A2 level, but do not use any words from, let's say, band 2 or band 3. So give this specific information. You might also provide tenses, structures. I know that CEFR published some lists in which, for example, you have a list of vocabulary items for A1 level. Similarly, you have a list of grammatical structures, tenses, or maybe prepositions, other elements for a given grade level, like A1 or A2. So copy those tenses or of structures and give it to this AI tool, and it will, I'm sure, give you a very good text. But still, that text will be open to further editing by the teacher himself or herself. Okay, that is important. You should still work on particular aspects. And you might say, for example, control for idiomatic language. Especially in academic writing, we don't use idiomatic language. We don't recommend people to use idiomatic language. And if your purpose is not to teach idiomatic language, then you might just oversee, you might eliminate it from certain texts, unless you want to teach a particular idiom. And an important strategy could be give sample texts. You can give sample texts. If you give a sample text, the AI tool can understand what type of output it should produce. So it compares and contrasts the input text, the sample text, with its own text, and could make necessary adaptations as needed. And you should also give the formality level. Also, you might say use word leadership. It is also possible. And any other parameter that you want to add to this list. It is endless, actually. Just shape your text according to how you want it look like. Okay? It is important. So let's go on. Adapting texts. Here is a prompt for adapting text. Can you please simplify the text attached? Again, this is the same text. Remember the text? The original text is B1 or B2 level learners, for B1, B2 level learners. Could you please prepare the abridged, shortened, simplified version of the text for A2 learners? To do this, shorten the sentences. This is number 1. Use vocabulary from the vocabulary frequency bands of 1K if possible. I mean, there might be some cases in which it is not possible to express something without using a vocabulary item from band 2. In that case, I just leave the door open. Use words from the 2K frequency band is if absolutely necessary. That's why I wrote this. Please refer to blah blah word list, the A2 word list. Do not use complex grammatical structures. Use only the most basic tenses. And the result was simplified text for A2 level learners. Actually, this original text was taken from Guardian Weekly, the Guardian Weekly, and Guardian Weekly prepared 3 levels for this particular material: elementary level, intermediate level, and advanced level. I compared the different versions of this text in a text analysis tool. There was something like this. I'm going to come to this later. This is the CEFR levels. According to this level, the simplified text was something like more than A2, just it was early B1. And it probably worked. It can probably work, because with further maybe additions, with further revisions, I could just adapt it to A2 level. Because if you paste, there are lots of actually tools on the internet out there. You have a tool like paste your text and it will give you, analyze for you all the vocabulary items and give you an output in which you see all vocabulary items categorized according to their levels. And that being said, if there are some higher level vocabulary items, you can replace them with simple ones, with more simple ones, okay? In that case, you will just be able to make this text an A2 one. But further touch is essential. Always do some additional revision. Think on AI output. Just don't accept AI output as is. I particularly ask ChatGPT to prepare questions, formative assessment questions for me. And whenever it gives me the output, I just go line by line and make the necessary revisions in the output. That is essential, friends. And you can just generate text for further reading. I mean, if a text is simple, you can just extend it. Maybe you can just make it an advanced text. That is also possible, but you will probably not need it that often. I mean, usually the problem is finding simple materials for your students, not more advanced ones. More advanced ones are everywhere. Particularly authentic materials are on the internet. The internet is full of them. Simplification or abridging, shortening texts. This is a better functionality of AI tools, friends. Okay, so contextual teaching of vocabulary. This is another good aspect of AI tools. Incidental learning is very important. Incidental learning means this: you don't intentionally teach a vocabulary item to your students. Instead, you provide them in context and they naturally learn the meaning of those words. But of course, frequency is very important in this respect, as I said earlier. Paul Nation works on vocabulary, does vocabulary research, and he says in one research, you need to see a word. When I say you, a foreign language learner or a second language learner needs to see a vocabulary item 10 or more times. Hocam, how is it going? I sometimes feel very isolated when I don't see people feel isolated.
Hocam, don't feel lonely. We are with you here, and everybody is, all ears and eyes. But there is a problem with your internet. It's breaking all the time.
Hocam, is everything okay?
Şimdi konuşun.
Hocam, everything is fine. Everyone is all eyes and ears and listening to you carefully. But your
Have you
internet...
been able to change the speaker? Have you been able to change the speaker?
Hocam, that's fine, huh? We can hear you clearly. But your internet is breaking all the time and we are having problems regarding it.
Okay. Does that happen too often?
Yes, hocam.
Okay, I'll change the internet to EUPAinEd. Saadet Hocam, can you hear me well? Okay,
Evet,
I have changed it into another network. I hope it will work fine. Okay.
if we face any problem, I'll let you know.
Okay, just call on me.
Sure.
I think I accidentally closed. Yeah, okay. Vocabulary. Here's a prompt, friends. I said, can you write 4 different paragraphs in which you use the following keywords? The topics of the paragraphs can be similar. Bold the keywords. I'm not interested in the topic, actually. What I want is to see all these words 4 times in several texts. If you like, you can, of course, specify the particular topic. You might say, for example, all these texts should be about education, should be about language learning, should be about anything. And the result was this, friends. Paragraph 1. So we have these vocabulary items. I said underline, probably underline, but it bolded the target words. And paragraph in the second paragraph, the words were used once again. Okay. In the third paragraph, once again. I think this is unbelievable, Hocam. I like this stuff because students can practice all these vocabulary items by reading similar texts and seeing those words in action in different contexts. And I can't expect more from AI. And of course, once again, you could further edit the texts. And pre-teaching of vocabulary items. Do you pre-teach vocabulary items when you are doing reading or listening or even writing or speaking? Yes, obviously, teachers pre-teach some vocabulary items. The keywords, if you are giving students a reading text, then you probably, friends, take a look at keywords and you teach them. When I was a university student like you, our teacher Gül Hoca taught us these steps while pre-teaching vocabulary items. Leading, you just give some information about the vocabulary item, maybe use it in context. Just give the pronunciation, and in between you have repetition, students repeat it, and you convey the meaning. You give an example sentence, underline that particular vocabulary item, and ask students a couple of questions that shows their understanding and contextual use. Now, I gave a prompt to DeepSeek again, and in this prompt, I specified everything. Selecting keywords from a text. First, do you remember our sample text? 1-page length text? Yeah. From that, I wanted the AI tool to choose keywords, the first task. Okay. And I also assigned a role to the AI tool. You are an English teacher. You have intermediate learners of English. Again, setting the scene. Remember, setting the scene is important. You have the following text. The text is attached, actually. I attached the text. And then please identify 5 keywords that might possibly be unfamiliar to intermediate learners. Prepare notes for yourself for each keyword, as in the example provided below. So we have the word accolade, okay? Accolade, we have the lead-in pronunciation, all those things, those steps. So I wanted AI tool to prepare a similar material for 5 vocabulary items from the text. And the result was, well, first of all, well, hang on a second. Yeah, here, demographers was one word, and it provided a successful study material or presentation material for the teacher. It gave nice sentences, also bolded the target word, and finally asked a verification or use question. It did this all for all the items, okay? 5 items, selected items. Demographers, methodology, also pension, chronic, and longevity. These were the words that the AI tool selected. However, I didn't say don't select any cognates. Most of the words selected are cognate words. You know cognates? Words that are similar across 2 languages like Turkish and English. Television is a cognate. So we usually do not teach this word because it is already known by students. Because maybe I didn't write don't select cognate words, it selected mostly cognate words. And well, here it provided the IPA symbols for the pronunciation. That was good as it was instructed. And also it provided the meaning as a definition most of the time. As you see, definition. You might have different methods like giving a cognate, giving a synonym, antonym, morphological analysis, or many other different methods of conveying meaning. But it preferred definition. You might say choose another, let me say, technique to convey meaning in this particular one, in this particular vocabulary item, you might say. And it was basically successful, except for the selection of vocabulary items. You see, chronic. If I were the tool, I wouldn't choose chronic. Okay. Pension, that's okay. Pension could be chosen. Longevity is a good word in this respect. Probably intermediate students won't know this word. Now, friends, I want you to scan this code and once again go to Padlet. This time, I'll ask you to choose 5 keywords out of that reading text. The most important 5 keywords, okay, out of that text, and you will pre-teach those words to your students. What words would you choose? Okay, and I'll compare those words with the ones that I actually selected.
Scan the code. Awesome.
Okay, when we come to Padlet, Now you will go to Padlet 3. Padlet 3, friends. If you can't scan the code, you can just write padlet.com Arif Bakla /Arif Bakla. Okay? Just write that and you will come to this page. Click on Padlet 3. In this Padlet, you will have access to the Word document. Could you please quickly choose 5 words? I'll just stop when 5 people have chosen the words. I'll stop at number 5. Can you download the Word document? This is the text that I've been mentioning several times. Saadet Hocam, how is the internet connection?
That's fine, Hocam, no problem. Hocam dosyalar gizli görünüyormuş, öğrenciler göremiyormuş ama kaydolunca mı açılıyor dediniz? Açıldı mı? Bazı öğrenciler de açılmış, bazılarının da açılmamıştı hocam.
Okay, they can share hocam. They can share.
Tamam. Word'ü paylaşalım.
5 responses hocam. 5 responses.
Okay. 5 responses are enough, guys.
Yeah. I can open it if you like. Yeah, you see?
Yes. Guys, can you see it? No? Nobody?
As an alternative.
Hocam, could you please zoom in a little bit?
Sure. Can you use this scroll bar?
Gruba link atılmış. Oradan girebiliriz.
Let me see if there are any responses.
Oğuzhan, have you chosen 5 words and explain the reasons? Come on.
Saadet Hocam, by the way, how much time do we have?
Hocam, it's better to finish it within 20 minutes.
20 minutes.
Yeah, for your presentation.
Okay, can you tell me if you can paste it here? You can just tell me if you like, because we don't have much time. Actually, I want you to take part in it, in this presentation, but time limitations are a serious problem. Okay, any responses you can speak perhaps, or report it to Hojam and she can just say.
Guys, has any of you shared 5 words and explained reasons? Did I? Have you done it? Why? Come on, guys.
Okay. Scientists, illness, retirement, lifespan. Okay. Lifespan, illness. Okay, illness might be a little bit easy, I suppose. Others, scientists, Just remember that you are intermediate students. Wealthy is a good option. Underestimate, yes. Implication, yes. Forecast, yes. Significant, yes. These are okay. I mean, some of these words are okay. So I'll come back to my presentation quickly. So here, friends, if I were to choose words, I would choose the words among these: underestimating, citizens, pensions, life expectancy, lifespan, forecast, implications, reasonable, figure, absolute, postpone, and confronting. These words might be useful for students, and probably intermediate students do not know them, may not know them, let's say. So these words will be okay. The next time I will, of course, reiterate my prompt and say, do not select any cognates. Instead, select words from this band, or select words that intermediate students may not know. Once again, I could somehow stress this, highlight this. When you sometimes stress something, highlight something, it pays attention to such a point. It pays extra attention. And in that way, it will work, friends. So let's go on. Also, you could ask AI tools to prepare concordance lines. I gave this particular prompt for concordance lines, and I said, please align the target word in the middle. And then I wrote align the target word vertically, but it didn't work. It didn't work. Usually physical requests, or requests that entail output with some physical properties, do not work in AI tools like ChatGPT, or at least this is my observation so far. So for these words, for the words that I can choose, I can ask ChatGPT or others to prepare concordance lines. This is important because your students will see these vocabulary items in different contexts again. Okay, could you please align the target words vertically? I wrote this comment to, it was not ChatGPT, sorry, it was DeepSeek, and the result was the server is busy. Please try again later. And that was a kind of punch on my head. So I went to Gemini, and Gemini gave me these concordance lines, but again, the alignment of the target words in the middle was problematic. Gemini wasn't able to do that either. And then these are the rest of the vocabulary items, friends. For speaking and pronunciation, I used ChatGPT most of the time to create scenarios, speaking scenarios, discussion scenarios, dialogue scenarios, different types of scenarios. And also, this year I'm offering a speaking class. In this class, I teach students breath groups. You know, when you are speaking, this is a breath group, you should pay attention pauses within sentences or utterances. This is another breath group. While you are speaking, you should pay attention to this so that your speech will be comprehensible enough. And to do this, I asked ChatGPT or others to give me this. So it gave me scenarios for impromptu speech tasks. Impromptu speech means without preparation. Students use these scenarios to speak for, let's say, 2 minutes or 3 minutes. That was really helpful for me. And can you please write 50 paragraphs, I said. Normally, finding paragraphs with elements of breath groups was very difficult in the past for me. But I said, well, include these elements and then write paragraphs. Students were readily practicing these paragraphs because, for example, at the beginning of the semester is an introductory phrase. Students who are eager to learn often bring notebooks, pens, textbooks. This is a list. Okay, surprisingly is a sentential adverb. And these types of things were all controlled. And I was able to give my students very, very individualized materials. And they were able to improve their pronunciation and breath groups. Later, I asked the same question to another tool. It gave me these sentences instead of paragraphs. There might be always problems with the output. And you can also ask these tools to, prepare tailored grammar exercises. The grammar problems that my students run into are quite different, or maybe quite different from those of other nationalities, students with other nationalities. And given this information, I should know what problematic aspects of grammar are for my students. And if I know them, I can ask AI tools to prepare, again, individualized materials. So write a paragraph of 300 words in which you have the following problems: sentence fragment, parallelism problem, subject-verb agreement, pronoun mistake, comma splice, and so on. And it gave me all these things within the sentence. And also, I asked the answers for answers. Give me the answers as well. So sentence fragments. This is another, this is the answer part. Answer part. It gave me the answers. Another one, can you give me a list of 20 grammar problems that non-native speakers of English encounter? If I give additional information like Turkish speakers, that would be much better. And it gives me these outputs, these examples. And sample prompt. Can you please prepare an exercise for practicing subject-verb agreement in English for advanced learners of English? So you have these items, these prompts, and make the following sentences longer by adding more words to each sentence and provide the answers once again. Because I was going to ask for a more difficult item for a test, I just wanted the sentences to be longer so that my students can have a challenge over there. Another prompt, parallelism. So you can prepare individualized grammar exercises, and these are very to the point, okay? And they directly focus on the problematic aspect of grammar for your students. In a way, it finds the gaps in knowledge in your students. That's something good. Original paragraph with dangling modifiers. Okay, we are done with grammar. Sentence types, for example, is another one. I use them. If you see the label real life, this means I use them in my classes. And writing exercises and materials. So you have to prepare exercises and materials for writing as well. And these are the possible ways of doing this. For example, I had a particular problem. Students were not able to write hooks in their introductions. So I asked the AI tool to provide examples of hooks, different examples, a variety of examples of hooks. Okay, things like these. And also, you can ask AI to score student writing. You can ask for feedback, that is possible. And you can ask AI tools to provide you genre-specific writing examples. That is also possible. And most of the time, whenever students have trouble choosing their topics, they just go through any AI tool and ask the question, could you give me a list of topics on which I can write an argumentative essay, argumentative paragraph, or a narrative essay, and so on. Okay, and it could be a good tool for outlining and brainstorming. So collaborative writing could be an option, friends. You can prepare exercises like this. For example, you give a paragraph to your student and then ask him to write the next. The next one is written by AI. The next one is by student. In this way, you can ensure that students write coherently and cohesively. This would be a worthwhile activity in this respect. You can integrate this into your lesson plans. Yeah, asking examples of hooks for essay writing. In this example, I asked ChatGPT to give me essay examples, but it failed basically. It just gave me some hallucinations because when I checked the links, I didn't find the essays. Be careful about this. Could you please find actual essay examples? I was a little bit persistent. I asked several questions. Please scroll and search the websites and find 30 essays. I was again persistent, but persistence didn't bring me success. It ended in failure, unfortunately. At last, find examples from the web for each of these hooking techniques. It didn't work again failure. Sorry, but could you give me sample essays so that I can show them to my students as models to work on? It didn't work. At last, I gave up. But don't give up. I mean, there might be other ways of asking for the same thing. Just think about it. Maybe if I had time, I would revisit my prompts and I would come back to see if it could give me what I wanted. Again, failure. So you can ask tools, Hocam, I'm trying to wrap up. You could ask AI tools to generate rubrics, and you can ask AI tools again to create tests, formative assessment tests, because formative assessment is important. It is assessment of learning, assessment of learning, and assessment for learning. Okay, assessment for learning. Organization. So I asked it to give me a rubric for, let's say, grading student essays. Okay, and it gave me this, and it was not bad. You can still work on this. It was a analytical one. You should obviously give the prompt by specifying important things like the level, analytic or holistic, whether you want scoring or not, and the number of components that will be included, like punctuation, spelling, organization, unity, coherence, grammar, and the like. And you can ask, again, the tools to prepare comprehension tests for formative assessments, for maybe examinations. That is also possible. The key is to check them all the time. Now, this is a prompt, sample prompt. Just friends, use a library of prompts. I mean, just don't delete these prompts. Prepare a repository of prompts so that you can use them later in the future. Just keep this in mind. This is a good one because you can just change some parameters and get the best results. So creating quiz questions, just be structured like this. Number one, I want this. Number two, I want this. Okay. And this is the ChatGPT version or DeepSeek, I suppose, DeepSeek version of this. I mean, can you please write 50 multiple choice questions? I always do this every week, and I prepare questions for these tutorials. I have used them this semester. We read this one this week. Students enjoy tests. I prepare those tests and input them into Nearpod. This is an interactive environment in which students collaboratively and sometimes competitively respond to questions, and this motivates them. And I get positive results in student surveys. They say those questions and activities were perfect. And you could use this to integrate language skills. To integrate language skills, friends, you could say just what activities, what speaking activities can I use this in? Can I use in this reading activity or reading lesson or whatever? You can just integrate lessons by referring to different language skills. Okay, we will come back to this if we have time, but unfortunately, we don't have enough time. You can generate ideas. As I said earlier, AI tools are just a colleague by your side. Always discuss with them, ask their opinion, and also improve upon their output. Ask for activity ideas. Don't forget iterative prompting. That's it. These are important points. So we have, I have always talked about so far basic chatbots, but we have others like, I just want you to try this. Google Notebook LM, it perfectly creates podcasts. I want you to listen.
Getting right into something really crucial for, well, anyone using information. Yeah, build knowledge the right way.
Human-like conversations between two people.
Welcome to the deep dive.
Okay, human-like conversations are possible. Also, we have these additional insights here. Yeah, like study guide, frequently asked questions. You upload a chapter, for example, and then you get all these stuff, okay, instantly. You don't have to work. This is perfect, particularly good for classes in which students do a lot of reading, like literature. If you are teaching literature, I strongly recommend this tool to your students and to you. And it creates a word map, okay? And then some tools also integrate AI modules, and they can give you AI features. They can automatically create text. This is a formative assessment tool, and it automatically creates questions. And this is this equally goes for tools like Socrative or maybe Kahoot or other things. They just create automatically. You can also use image creators, image generators to discuss certain things, particularly in speaking classes. Yeah. Okay. So this should be the last slide. The 5 C's for seamless and ethical integration. We have been talking about the components, actually, the content part of it. But we do have other aspects of using AI tools like ethical issues. Whenever you use an AI tool, just give credit. It was created by blah, blah. As I mentioned earlier, you should be somehow open. You should just be transparent. Transparency means, for example, saying your students that, telling them that you have used AI in producing some of the materials. They should be aware of what you are doing. You should be aware of the policies of AI tools. Just read them, the fine print. That is important. You should collaborate with AI tools. Don't leave the intellectual activity in the hands of AI tools. Just check the output all the time and improve it. And creativity is important on your part. Well, AI tools could be creative, but don't just leave creativity. Improve what they provide, and also go on developing your own creativity. Be careful about cultural bias. For example, stereotypes. If the materials in your activities include some cultural bias, eliminate it. Don't rely on AI output totally. Just be suspicious, but that should be somehow a healthy suspicion. Okay, Hocam, thank you. I don't want to extend the discussion. Hang on a second. Where is it? I had an activity in which we were supposed to examine and evaluate a lesson plan created by an AI tool, but I can share it with you, and maybe later you can take a look at it. My rubric adopted from someone, and also the AI created lesson plan. Yeah, that's it. If you have questions, friends, I can answer them happily.
Guys, any questions?
Questions, Hocam.
Hocam, they say that all is clear.
Okay. Hocam, let me give you an example. I just delivered a speech in Italy within an Erasmus mobility program. I was supposed to speak for 2 hours. Okay, I finished my speech, and then they asked questions for 2 hours. I spoke for 4 hours. So questions are always encouraged. I was amazed by those questions because they asked everything, and I liked the way they formulated the questions and directed them to me. If you have questions, just ask them. That's okay. No questions. Any comments?
I have a connection problem, but guys, Niyaz, do you have any questions? No? All is clear? Okay, Hocam. They say that all is understood, and they send their heartfelt thanks to you. Okay, I had.
Yeah, thank you.
Hocam, we would like to, me especially, extend my sincere thanks to you for your engaging and highly practical session. You skillfully, as always, guided us through a comprehensive journey, from a thought-provoking warm-up on the legitimate uses of AI in education to the intricacies of crafting effective prompts and designing pedagogically sound lesson plans. I especially loved these step-by-step guidance on how to prompt AI for various teaching purposes. It was particularly valuable, offering clear and actionable strategies for lesson design. And I also appreciate the in-depth exploration of how AI can support tailored, comprehensible input, text generation, and adaptation for different reading types, vocabulary instructions, speaking and pronunciation, grammar, writing activities, and formative assessment. This session highlighted not only the potential of AI in integrating language skills, but also emphasized ethical and seamless classroom integration. Thank you once again. for equipping us with both inspiration and concrete tools to enrich our teaching practices through AI.
Okay, it was my pleasure, hocam. Thank you for inviting me.
Hocam, thank you once again. We'll be in touch.
Okay.
Take great care, hocam. Bye-bye.
Okay, good luck with your studies, friends.
Thank you very much, hocam.